Hey, it's Nolan Mathias from Mortgage 360, and today we're talking the Bank of Canada rate announcement and why that announcement is indicating that a 5-year fixed mortgage may not be the best option anymore. But before we get into it, do me that favor, hit the subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and please, please, please hit that like button because ultimately that determines how many people will see this video. It's completely up to you. Okay, so let's get into it. Let's talk about why 5-year fixed rates are no longer the strategy that we're suggesting and how we know that a variable is a safe bet for the next couple of years. And how we know that a variable is a safe bet for the next couple of years is because of Tiff, T-I-F-F, Mecklem, the new Bank of Canada governor, and his interest rate guidance that he provided on Wednesday, July the 15th. And in that guidance, he obviously didn't lower interest rates. We're at 0.25% for the overnight key lending rate. So that rate can't go much lower without going into negative interest rate territory. But what he did suggest was that, and these are his words, that interest rates were going to be very low for a long time. Now, he didn't define specifically what long time means, but what we can defer from some of the other comments and some of the predictions that the Bank of Canada is making is that a long time is at least 2 years. And the reason why we know that is because what they're suggesting is that they expect GDP to be down by about 8%. It's like 7.8% or something like that. I'm going to use round numbers, but be down by about 8% for 2020. And then in 2021, 2022, they expect it to rebound by about 5.5% to 6%, and then about 3.5% to 4% respectively. And what that means is that we have at least a 2-year window where interest rates are going to remain low. And by the way, those predictions are based on them not having a major shutdown for a second wave of coronavirus in Canada. So here's what they're expecting. They're expecting at least 2 years of low interest rates. And, I think anytime you see interest rates get this low, you can go back in history, go back to the 1940s, 1950s. You always expect interest rates to stay low for a very long period of time. You can do the same thing, go and look at Asia in the 1990s when they got to very, very low rates, and they've still been climbing out of that low rate territory for the last 30 years. So we know that when interest rates get low, they stay low for a long time. But the Bank of Canada's guidance is basically telling us that we have a 2-year window where you're probably not going to see variable rates increase. So when we have that type of window and variable rates are low, what that means is that we can take advantage of things like the low variable rates, the lower cost of a variable rate mortgage, and also their low penalties. And low penalties mean significant flexibility, so that if variable rate discounts go from like prime minus 0.5 to prime minus 1, well, we can take advantage of the fact that we have a low penalty, we can refinance, and we can get into lower variable rate mortgages. So there's going to be significant opportunities to save as long as we have some flexibility going forward. Now, here's the other big reason why we think people should be taking variable as of right now instead of a fixed. And that's because if the Bank of Canada is predicting that interest rates will start to go up in 2 to 3 years, well, you probably don't want to be caught with a 5-year mortgage right now, because if you're caught with a 5-year mortgage and interest rates at 5 years have gone up significantly, you're going to have to renew at 5 years into a higher interest rate. But if we can take advantage of having a variable rate for the next 2 to 3 years when we know that rates are going to be low and we know that they're going to basically stay the same, then what we can do is when interest rates do start to go up, we can assess the market and then decide if we want to lock into a 5-year fixed. And what that'll do is that'll give us, instead of a 5-year window at low rates, it'll give us a 7 to 8 to 9 year window at low rates, because we're taking advantage of the variable for the short term and then locking into the fixed as interest rates start to increase. So it's just a better strategy. It gives us more time at lower interest rates if we're paying attention to the market. And, at our company, at Mortgage 360, we do that for the client. We make sure that if we're putting them into a variable and we start to see rates go up in year 2 or year 3, that we're calling them and saying, okay, here's the strategy going forward. But at the end of the day, there's a huge opportunity to save a pretty significant amount of money and extend the window of low interest rates by being smart using variable rates right now. So that's why we think that the 5-year fixed strategy for most people is no longer the best strategy. We've got some opportunity here with variables. And if you really want to save money over the long term, we think variable rates is the way to go. We'll be able to knock several years off of somebody's mortgage, if not 5 to 10 years off somebody's mortgage, just by being smart in our choices. and also by being smart in choosing mortgages that are highly flexible. And when it comes to flexibility, variable rates are the way to go, and they're also the way to go when it comes to getting low price mortgages. So that's why we think variables are the play. And if you have questions on it, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Again, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and please, please, please hit the like button, because again, YouTube algorithm, that's how people will see this video. And this information, you're not going to find it at many other places. So let's get it out there and see if we can get the message and the word out to Canadians. Cheers.